My name is Derek Barney. This is Fire Prevention and Code Enforcement, Unit 3, and this is the fire prevention video. Fire Safety and Code Enforcement, Derek Barney, Fire 4311, Unit 3, Professor Scott Avery, Professor Niles Hugaboom, Professor Donnie West, Columbia Southern University. Now imagine that you're an active firefighter creating a video to educate city council members in your jurisdiction about fire prevention. Identify the basic concepts of education, enforcement, and engineering. Explain how code is enforced in your jurisdiction. Describe how your local jurisdiction applies code to new and existing occupancies. Identify local organizations that determine fire resistance of building materials. Identify the types of tests used to determine fire rating of certain building component materials in your area. Describe how fire tests and fire rating apply to inspection and code enforcement in your area. Identify characteristics of unsafe structures in your area as they relate to code requirements. Identify the building construction type in your area that possess the biggest hazard for potential conflagration and fire spread. Explain how plans, review, and structural control as a means for fire protection would improve the safety of unsafe structures in your area. Education. The importance of knowledge and skill in fire safety and code enforcement is educational to all firefighters. Understanding the concept of all education in fire safety and code enforcement gives firefighters a chance to abate and mitigate all fire hazards and potential fire hazards in every workplace industry. This includes the construction industry as well as general industry, which concises to learning all aspects of fire safety and code enforcement. All education includes learning the physical hands-on aspects of firefighting or fighting the fires and protecting workers from fire, as well as tenants that may live in structures, commercial buildings, apartment building, homes. The outcome of education to fire safety and code enforcement is understanding the importance of keeping firefighters updated on fire safety and the National Fire Protection Association, also known as the NFPA, standards and code for buildings, heat release rates, and all the material grades to fire reaction, increasing the knowledge and skills of how fire reacts and the rapid rate of speed of spread. Enforcement. One of 3 fire abatement code enforcement standards are known to all firefighting agencies and the firefighters that fight fires in the line of duty to protect cities and wildlife that may be threatened by fire hazards. Humans and animals are exposed to potential fire hazards every day. Enforcing fire safety starts with the construction design of buildings and monitoring of fire safety systems in the design of buildings, from sprinkler systems, access and egress, and signage. To ensure all fire safety requirements are met to code or building code, fire marshals must inspect all plans to be able to prevent and mitigate potential fire hazards. And these fire marshals work with project managers, owners, and contractors on the build and construction of each structure. Some buildings are in total violation for not installing fire safety systems in the design of the structure. For example, not installing fire sprinklers, not installing the correct walls. Engineering a solid and sound fire safety and code enforcement program for firefighters can assist local, state, and federal agencies to fight fires. To be able to fight fires, firefighters need the proper training and equipment. Training includes how to properly fight fires and abate fires from spreading and utilizing the equipment provided. The equipment provided can range from hand and power tools like the jaws of life to be able to cut open car doors or cut open gates that you need access and egress to. Fire rated PPE like gloves, respirators, fire rated suits, driving fire trucks, and other heavy equipment like skid steers and earth moving vehicles that will help fight fires and be able to abate them from spreading. All firefighters will be trained in engineering controls to fight fires. Code enforcement in the jurisdiction is based on building codes and the design of structures from the time they were built until the potential hazard are recognized. So when a hazard is recognized, is mainly, it could be incidental or accidental. Somebody lit a fire in a building from leaving the gas stove on, or leaving a cigarette in the ashtray. According to the NFPA, the classification of occupancy is dependent on the type of occupancy in the structure, can determine the number of restrictions and requirements to Fire Safety Code, NFPA. The enforcement codes are prevalent in all but 4 states and adopted by local level jurisdiction: Arizona, Kansas, Missouri, and Mississippi. According to the California Code of Regulations and the ICC, in Table 503, allowable heights and areas determined in the space, and Table 601 and 602 for required construction material from Type 1 to 5 of building to code for constructing with wood that resists against fire, NFPA. To be able to understand the fire resistant rate against the type of materials in a building, inspectors must use temperature instruments and other tools to test all material from the manufacturer in each region of the local, state, and federal fire marshal to standard of the NFPA. These tests apply internationally and locally in my area by the type of occupancy known as homes, apartments, and commercial building spaces that may be furnished or open floor spaces like lofts and warehouses. These are the types of structures that pose the highest risk to fire hazards due to the amount of materials used to construct the building and the material used to furnish the building, like electrical and other stuff like couches and beds. Interior spaces test to see how fire reacts to the material and the amount of weight, and testing for exterior too, by testing temperatures with thermocouple tools and plate thermometer testing on each side of the interiors and exterior walls and ceilings. They are based on age and material type. For example, the thickness of drywall and wood. Reviewing and inspecting plans are important because in case of a fire hazard, workers, tenants, and firefighters will have a chance of survival and to be able to escape and save lives.